everybody, and after a long hiatus, once again we are back for round 9 of the PCDC Managers League, and we have Maurizio Gugelmin for Ferrari lining up on the front row, and we're off as the green light is on, and Maurizio Gugelmin gets a good launch into turn 1 with the 2 Zach Speed slotting in behind, and they have a good run. Jan Lammers and John Nielsen. In the back there you have Emerson Fittipaldi in 7th place, trying a move on Ross Cheever, I believe, as they head down into Bremschikane Ein. And let's see here, side by side almost, Maurizio Gugelmin and Jan Lammers. Thinks better of it, and Gugelmin had a good qualifying session. Qualified about a 10th and a half in front of Ayrton Senna, who's actually dropped back a little bit now, and now we have the 2 Zach Speeds going side by side with John Nielsen and Jan Lammers. That has kind of separated them a bit initially here from Maurizio Gugelmin, so let's hope they haven't lost the slipstream, because we all know how fast that Ferrari is in a straight line. We do have Ayrton Senna now in 4th place for Lotus. He's doing a terrific job and actually closes up on John Nielsen there, and surely now he has an opportunity into the stadium section. Turn 11 we head into now, but Alain Prost is also thinking of making a move. Oh, and it's a double move for Alain Prost as he goes up the inside of both the Zach Speed and the Lotus. Very nicely done by Alain Prost, showing his prowess, and is now up into 3rd place. Very nicely done. Let's now see a bit further back. We have Emerson Fittipaldi also working in that slipstream, and is trying to find a way past either Ayrton Senna or the Zach Speed of John Nielsen. And here comes Ayrton Senna now on to the Zach Speed, and it's side by side in a 4-car squabble for 4th place. We have Senna trying to move up the inside, and he will complete it on John Nielsen. Very nicely done, or he holds on to his 4th position, I should say. And then let's see, further back here we have more people getting in on the action. Ross Cheever there in 7th with Michael Andretti right behind in the Tyrrell. So Tyrrell and Michael Andretti putting their best foot forward, and actually I think Michael Andretti, yes he did, so he got a nice move done on Ross Cheever, which moves him up into 7th. Then in 9th we have Roberto Moreno in the 2nd Lotus. Then comes Nelson Piquet in the 1st Benetton. Ricardo Patrese now not too far behind, going side by side with the Benetton. Patrese tries a move up the inside, and yes, he does complete that. So now Patrese inside the top 10 for Ligier, and Ligier will definitely be looking at scoring some more points there in a big battle, well, all the way up until 4th place with Lotus, I would say, since it's Lotus is in 4th with 33 points in the constructor standings. Benetton in 5th with 29, Tyrrell in 6th with 27, Minardi and Ligier both with 25 points in 7th and 8th. So yeah, big battle all over the field for those valuable spots in the constructor standings. And Nelson Piquet now dropping back a bit now from that the initial pack, it seems. Then we have Yannick Dalmas with Eddie Lawson, Michele Alboreto, and we have Martin Brundle there. Try and move there on Eddie Lawson in the Euro run. And let's see if Brundle completes this move. Yeah, gets around the outside. Well, initially the inside, and oh, there is someone. The smoking engine, it's Roberto Moreno. So the Lotus of Roberto Moreno, and Lotus have been struggling in the past couple of rounds with their reliability. But that will surely be a race over for Moreno as Nelson Piquet moves up into 10th place because of it. So Moreno will pull off here at some point. As we have the rest of the field, that is Yannick Dalmas coming through, Martin Brundle, Eurobahn there. Oh, and there's a collision actually. There's a collision with avoidance of that stricken Lotus. I'm not sure, I don't think anyone would have gotten damage from it, but that was nearly a disaster as Moreno has now pulled off to the side and the marshals are clearing that car up. And let's now actually, in the meanwhile, with that whole shuffle going on, we have Maurizio Gugelmin who is blitzing the field. Currently, Gugelmin in first place in the driver's standings, but notably, Gugelmin hasn't won a race yet. So he's had 4 second places and 4 DNFs and is leading the drivers' championship, but hasn't gotten a single win to his name so far. But the way he's carrying this on could mean a first win for Gugelmin here today. And he is looking solid with already a 5.3 second lead over Jan Lammers. And he is really streaking away now, showing his pace and the Ferrari's pace. We all knew this would be a really strong track for the Ferrari, as they have one of the most powerful packages on the grid. But Gugelmin definitely showing what it's capable of. And we have Jan Lammers in second in the Zach Speed. So Zach Speed initially had a really good start to the season. Of course, they're still the closest team to Ferrari. But they've had a little bit of reliability issues in the second half of some of the races here that we've completed. And now Lammers is trying to make up that deficit. Lammers now third in the standings, driver standings, tied with Emerson Fittipaldi. But Fittipaldi has one more win to his name, hence his lead over Lammers. And then Alain Prost here. He is trying to single-handedly get McLaren back to the top after last year. Obviously, you know, Prost winning that Drivers' Championship last year, but, well, similar to last year, he is somewhat being let down by his teammate Yannick Dalmas, who's currently in 11th, so not doing poorly so far. But yeah, the McLaren package just isn't what it isn't as strong as it was last year. But Prost definitely pushing it to the limit and has Emerson Fittipaldi behind him in 4th, looking at that podium position. In 5th, Ayrton Senna, just running at his own pace now. And he'll be looking for a good result here as well. Senna is currently 9th in the standings with his teammate Moreno just behind him in 10th, 17 and 16 points respectively. And then comes John Nielsen. So Nielsen has well, he's had opportunities as well to score some good points, but unfortunately he's only in 8th in the driver standings, even though Zach Speed is doing fairly well in that 2nd place in the constructors. And now Martin Brundle is reporting issues, and he's gonna try and maybe pull into the pits. Yes, he will. So he was reporting some issues with vibrations coming from one of his wheels, and now Brundle will come in and probably change out those tires. Yes, and he does so. So he will get back underway. So that will be time loss for Brundle, but he is still in the race, so that's a positive, I guess. But effectively puts him out of any sort of competitiveness in this race, unfortunately for Williams, who once again are struggling at the back. They're fairly close to BMW and Eurobrun, but yeah, they look quite far off the points at this point in time. And Lammers still just in that second place. Rush Cheever in 6th, so he's trying to drag up Minardi up in those constructor standings as well. And Ross Cheever actually in 6th place in the standings, which is yeah, he was very promising last year. And well, from what we've gathered, he's Martijn Knecht has heavily invested into Ross Cheever, trying to teach him as much on the track as off the track with multiple training camps, extracurricular activities for Cheever to really lock in and get prepared for the season. And clearly, that has paid off for the young American, as he is in a solid 6th place in the standings, not too far behind the rest of the drivers, only 7 points actually behind Maurizio Gugelmin, who's in 1st, so one good result could jumble up the entire drivers championship. And obviously, as we know, from this year onwards, there will also be rewards given out for the driver standings at the end of the year, so that is something to note. But yeah, Cheever just maintaining his pace. I'm not sure if he's getting any closer. Let's check some of the lap times, as Gugelmin the only car to be, or only driver to be in the 46s. And Ross Cheever actually with the 2nd best time, so last lap time for Cheever was actually a 47 faster than all the cars in front of him. So that is that's very interesting. He's actually the 2nd fastest car on the track right now. Yeah, that's very interesting to see. Let's see if Cheever can still make his way up in this race. As we have Nielsen down in 7th, PK in 8th. So PK so far rounding out the point-paying positions. And then we have Andretti not too far behind, just 2 or so seconds. With Patrese hunting him down, Riccardo Patrese. So far 12th in the standings with his teammate Mika Hakkinen 13th, I believe. Oh no, Mika Hakkinen is 12th, Patrese is 11th on 14 and 11 points respectively. And Ligier are tied with Minardi at the moment for 7th and 8th with 25 points, but Ligier doesn't... well, they've had a podium, but they've had one less 4th place than Minardi, so hence Minardi being in front of them. But yeah, Patrese now getting closer to Andretti, I get the feeling. But yeah, Maurizio Gugelmin is just putting on a masterclass here today. He's miles ahead of everyone else, and he doesn't look like he's taking his foot off the gas just yet. Here we go now, Patrese closing up to the back of Michael Andretti, and he's less than a second behind him now. So Andretti will be looking in his mirrors. And Patrese looking at inheriting that 9th position as his pace looks good now for Ligier. Here he comes on to start finish straight. Let's see. Is he gonna try something into turn 1? Yeah, it does look like it. He does get ahead, but that does make him vulnerable to Andretti behind him again, as Andretti will be in the slipstream, and Andretti moves to the inside, heading into Bremschikane 1. As Fabi gets a pit call. Was there a mistake from Fabi somewhere? Oh, Fabi without a rear wing. What has happened to him? And something has happened further up in the first chicane. Oh, it's been a collision between Michael Andretti and Riccardo Patrese, which means they are both on the side of the circuit and they will have to recover. But man, that's a lot of time lost, and that will drop both Riccardo Patrese and Andretti to the back of the field, as actually Patrese losing a little bit more time. But yeah, that's a big shame for them. It does mean that John Nielsen now moves up into the last point bank position with Yannick Dalmas not too far behind. So yeah, McLaren not looking too shabby, but a shame for both Ligier and Tyrrell, who are both running on the cusp of those points and now have lost an incredible amount of time. And back to the front runner now. It is Maurizio Gugelmin, 14 seconds ahead after 10 laps. He's gaining more than a second a lap on his competitors, and it's an incredible performance. That Ferrari just looks, well, it's a rocket ship on the straight, to be honest. And oh, what's going on here? Alain Prost reporting some trouble. He's going slow. More drama for McLaren. Not sure. Prost is moving slowly out of Bremschikane 2. And he's still going. No signs of they're reporting a leak, but oh, and that's a fire. That's a fire coming out of the back of Prost's car, and surely that will be the end of his race. And McLaren was looking pretty good now, but it will be up to Yannick Dalmas to score any points now, as he'll inherit 8th place from Prost here soon enough, as the engine gives out there on that McLaren. And let's hope Prost pulls to the side here. Can he pull it to the side, or... Ooh, that's a precarious position to be in with all these cars heading to you. And he'll, well, retire virtually almost on the same spot as Roberto Moreno did there. And the yeah, Alain Prost will exit the car. The marshals will clear up that car. But what a shame for McLaren, as they were looking, well, fairly positive here this weekend. Prost just couldn't get it. And, oh, there's someone else out. What happened here? Oh, there has been a crash. I saw a tire there on the side of the road, but I'm not sure I can actually get any footage. Let's go on board and see what has happened. But I think Ross Cheever just made a mistake into the last corner and went off. Don't even see the car. Yeah, Ross Cheever must have made a mistake. I'm not sure where the car is positioned on the track, but yeah, it looks like just a mistake from Cheever somewhere, and he must have went into the barrier. And that's a shame for Cheever, because he was also in a good position there for Minardi. But Hockenheim is already taken 3 victims so far, and I'm sure it'll take more throughout the race. As Fabi, the last of the running cars, far behind now, as he had that issue with losing his rear wing early on. We didn't see it live, but I'm sure he probably went into a barrier somewhere. But yeah, good to see him out on track once again as Gugelmin is extending his lead, and now Emerson Fittipaldi is obviously in second place. He's made his way through the field, so it's a well, it's a possible 1-2 for Ferrari here, lining up again as they've looked dominant in the past 2 rounds, rounds 7 and 8. They've had those 1-2s as well, and the question being now, can anyone stop Ferrari with this charge they're on? They complete another 1-2 this round, it'll be 3 in a row, and that would be something that's very rarely seen in F1. But yeah, looking strong so far. We have Ayrton Senna still trying to chase down Emerson Fittipaldi in 3rd position. But at this point in time, I'm sure Kovacs Levente will be happy with a podium position for Senna. I'm sure he just wants him to finish within the points and just finish the car, keep it running, and just get it to the line. That has been one of the downfalls of Lotus for this season, has been their reliability. But yeah, they're looking at some good points with Jan Lammers in 4th and Nelson Piquet in 5th now. So Piquet once again in a good position here for Benetton. They could really use some points here to catch up to both McLaren and keep in the fight with Lotus and extend their lead from Tyrrell. And yeah, John Nielsen in 6th. Then we have Yannick Dalmas. So Yannick Dalmas actually running inside the points now for McLaren, which not too shabby then. And let's hope he can get to the end of this race. He does have Eddie Lawson not too far behind, as Lawson is in the slipstream, and one of those other teams, Eurobrun, is well, they got off to a strong start, and then in the last 3 or so rounds they've only managed to finish once with one car in the last 3 races. So they're hoping to maybe pick up a point or 2 here as Lawson goes on the move on Dalmas, and Dalmas will try again up the inside as they head into the Bremschikane. And they head down now to the Ostkurve. And Dalmas creating a little bit of space for him as Michele Alboreto is now starting to catch up as well, as these two are squabbling. So in Bremschikane 2. See if Lawson can set up a move again. He's worked quite a bit to get up close to Dalmas, so ideally he wants to move to work the initial time, and for Dalmas not to have another go at him right after it, because that'll allow all the cars behind to come that little bit closer. And then I think we have another fight going on. No, not really. I think at some point Piquet and Lammers would have been close, but it looks like Piquet actually overtook Lammers for 4th. So I'm not sure. Lammers must have made a mistake somewhere. But yeah, it does mean that Piquet is now ahead. So yeah, Benetton going fairly well here. JJ Leto in 10th. So he's not doing too shabby. And now we have Lammers and Nielsen running in 5th and 6th for Zach Speed. As, well, Zach Speed again, yeah, just really strong start for them. They still had, the last 2 races, they've had 2 podiums and 2 DNFs. So they're still solidly scoring points here. But they need to be careful not to get into a downward spiral, because sure, the other teams are looking to take advantage of this, but as long as they can finish inside the points and carry some momentum, get both of their cars to the finish line, most importantly, then you have a decent enough gap to the teams behind to stay ahead for the rest of the season, I think. Especially if Ferrari keeps this dominance up and takes those much wanted top points. And those 18 points on offer for first and second. Eddie Lawson now for Eurobrun, getting back closer to Alboreto, and I think this is one of the or Dalmas, I'm sorry, probably one of the more interesting things happening on the track, so that's why we're staying on it. As Lawson threatening now, going into the stadium and into Saxkurva. And heading around now and then into the Südkurve. And then going on to the start finish. And once again, he's behind Almas here on the start finish straight. Will he try something into turn 1? We might do, but he doesn't carry enough momentum. So now on the, I believe, the longest straight of the track, he will be in the slipstream of Dalmas, but he now has Alboreto like we predicted. Alboreto has made his way up to the back of these two, and Alboreto will go through for Minardi on and gets past Eddie Lawson now. So Lawson, instead of making the move and ending up in 7th, actually losing a position and ending up in 9th. Lawson looking at making up some time again, and Michele Alboreto. Oh, and then disaster strikes for Eddie Lawson as his transmission just gives up. And that Eurobrun running really well up until that point, and now the car has just had enough of it. Too much stress on that transmission, and unfortunately it has given up for Eddie Lawson, but a really valiant effort for the Eurobrun there. But unfortunately, Lawson won't be able to finish this race. Meanwhile, Gugelmin 18 seconds ahead of the veteran Emerson Fittipaldi. And then comes Ayrton Senna in 3rd place with PK not too far behind. And let's again remind ourselves of the last lap time. So we do have Gugelmin and Fittipaldi both looking like the fastest cars on track. That being said, Nelson Piquet is looking very racy. He's looking at a solid pace, really. He's matching Emerson Fittipaldi, so he could, in theory, catch Ayrton Senna here, as he was 4/10 quicker than him last lap around. So once Piquet gets into the slipstream of Senna, that will be a battle to watch. Obviously, hopefully for Senna, he can just hold on and maintain that gap. Hopefully keep Piquet behind, but Piquet within 2 seconds. Obviously, because of the high-speed nature of this track, we have some really fast laps here, and it's actually one of the shorter tracks on the calendar when it comes to speed, or when it comes to the length of the race. We only have 44 laps or so. But it will be one of the shorter races. time-wise, which I don't mind. It's pretty good. It's a nice circuit to race on, but some of the races eke out really long here, and no real exciting battles at the end. But here we do have a battle brewing between PK and Senna in a couple of laps here. And Jan Lammers and John Nielsen still not separated by much. We've seen these two. Well, it actually looks like a really balanced lineup for Zach Speed, as these two haven't been separated by much. They've pretty much traded blows on most of the qualifying sessions, and both had their good runs. I think John Nielsen unfortunately had a bit more unfortunate events in the way of DNFs, but yeah, pace-wise, these two are matched very closely, and yeah, they've done a solid job so far, which means Zach Speed is now in that second place. And obviously a big part of that is also Zach Speed securing that engine deal with Honda, which has really been a useful asset for them, as well. That is something they really lacked last year, which was a potent engine to work with. Now they have that package, and well, they're running solidly in 5th and 6th and looking to pick up some decent points for the rest of the season. But obviously the big talking point is the Ferrari of Gugelmin and Fittipaldi, as you can see now. Fittipaldi slowly eking out that gap to Ayrton Senna in 3rd, but Gugelmin completely dominating and now getting onto the back of Theo Fabi as he comes up to lap him. So let's see how that goes, but Gugelmin flawless so far and could extend his championship lead, which would be good, and obviously it would massively extend Ferrari's Constructors' championship lead, as they got off to a slow start, and it was looking kind of terrible for Ferrari in the first couple of races. Even though they had some podiums, they had a big streak of DNFs there, with round 4, 5, and 6 all being double DNFs. Which just kind of shows how fast the tide can swing in one of these championships, as reliability stays a big issue for a lot of the teams. And Gugelmin just making his way up to the back of Theo Fabi, who is about to be the first car that is lapped. That is still racing, of course. And Fabi just trying to continue racing, trying to catch up to the other cars in front of him. I'm curious to see as well when we will get our first pit stops. Further back, once again, we have PK slowly closing up to the back. He's 1.4 seconds behind now. Let's see the last laps between Senna and PK. So now they're actually matching times pretty closely. Senna a 147.882 and PK a 147.853, which only 300ths faster for PK, so it's definitely slowed down a little bit, maybe some tire wear kicking in, but only the top 4 in the 47s right now, with the rest of the field being in 48s and 49s. So interesting developments, as Mika Hakkinen also put a decent lap in last time around. Yeah, interesting to see PK about 1.3 seconds behind. So yeah, PK slowly inching closer to the back of Ayrton Senna. And Lammers and Nielsen still just maintaining that gap to each other. Chile Alboreto for Minardi in 7th. Alboreto, he's unfortunately not scored any points so far, but he has shown that he has the potential to do so, as opposed to, well, yeah, Luigi Martini that Minardi had hired before. Martini and never really showing any sort of pace that would be able to challenge for points. But with Alboreto, I think Minardi has found a solid replacement. And even though it's not the level of Ross Cheever, if you have a driver that can pick up those scrappy points, that can really mean a lot towards the end of the season. And Alboreto will have, of course, 6 less races than the rest of the grid to prove himself. But yeah, I'm sure MDK is pretty pleased with the performance so far. And Yannick Dalmas, he's scored 5 points so far. Might add on another after this race. JJ Leto now on the cusp of some points as well. Leto still scoreless, but he is yeah, right on the edge of some points here. So would be great to see the rookie get some points on his tally. So far has been quite unlucky. So quite a bit of DNFs. Half of the races Leto has been in has been DNFs. We have Bobby Rahal in 10th. Toru Nakajima not too far behind. Nakajima trying to get into that slipstream. As we see here on board with Nakajima. Because I'm still just watching that gap between Senna and PK as it's ever so slightly getting closer. I'm sure Nakajima will have a go at Bobby Rahal here in a couple of laps. Mika Hakkinen also trying to get closer. Jeff Lee's a bit further behind, unfortunately. Yeah, Williams, again, not looking quite up to pace. Martin Brundle at the back of the field obviously had to pit already with some sort of leak that the team managed to fix, so he's trying to make his way back up the field as Gugelmin now, first driver for Ferrari, getting that pit call. And he's looking to get off of those tires, perfectly split the race in half. And he will get off his old worn tires and I assume only make one stop here and then go until the end. So Fittipaldi in second. I'm sure he will pit the lap after Gugelmin then. As more pit stops start rolling in. Could potentially see some undercuts happening here. We'll have to wait and see. As again, Nelson Piquet getting ever closer to the back of that Coca-Cola Lotus. But I should probably say Apple Lotus, because Apple is the main sponsor. Coca-Cola also featuring quite heavily on the Lotus, but Apple definitely the biggest brand on the car. Still maintaining his pace. Let's see as we come across the line, how big is the gap? Still about 1.2 seconds or so, so PK will not be in the slipstream yet, but Googleman now comes out in second place, far enough ahead of P3, and yeah, he will just have clean air. He might even get close to his teammate here by the end of the lap, as he'll be on fresh tires and be able to make up so much time on his teammate throughout this lap. We might even see him on the back of his gearbox towards the end of this lap. We'll have to see. Obviously, not that many braking zones in this track, so can't make that much difference on tires, but yeah, it's still gonna make a massive difference. See here, yeah, Googleman already getting closer, 2.9 seconds, so more pit calls coming in, more cars stopping. And again, potential for some undercuts. Ayrton Senna could undercut, or PK could undercut Senna here to get track positions, for instance, and Dalmas could try the same on John Nielsen, perhaps. Oh no, he couldn't, he's too far away, but Leto could try on Dalmas. Similar to Bobby Rahal, he could try getting an undercut on those two cars ahead of him. Now Emerson Fittipaldi in here, so perfectly coordinated pit stops by Ferrari. And Gugelmin will still be in the lead, as Emerson Fittipaldi will come out in, I believe, 4th place. But he will still be in a net 2nd position here, as we are for the halfway mark. Actually, John Nielsen come in past there. But Nielsen obviously still has to make that pit stop, as his teammate Lammers now comes out of the pits. Chicharito coming in now, and we'll actually stay on board with Nelson Piquet for now. Yeah, we'll stay on board with Nelson Piquet for now as I take a short little break. And I'll be right back with you after a couple of laps here. As we come back now, seemingly Nelson Piquet within a second now for the first time, and both of these drivers will come in for their pit stop this time around. So let's see if one team can get a leg up on the other in the pit stop phase. And this could be a good possibility for Piquet to jump Senna in the pits. So we'll just follow them in and see what happens. All of the pit calls now coming in, so everyone will have pitted at the end of this lap. Let's see what happens here when we follow Senna and Piquet in as they both pull into the pits. See now that pit stalls are close together. Let's get a service. Let's see who can exit the pit faster. Oh, both with a 4.9 stop, so incredibly equal stops there for Lotus and Benetton. And both Lammers and Nielsen haven't been able to capitalize. So they are both still running their own race in 5th and 6th, not too far behind each other. Almas now coming in for his service. He gets released again. He'll in front of those other cars servicing in the pits now. The BMW there of Bobby Rahal gets released. And Almas now on his way again, comes out behind JJ Leto. Meanwhile, we still have Piquet hunting down Ayrton Senna. And I'm interested to see if he can actually get onto the back of that Lotus and start getting some slipstream, because that would really help his advance. I think we now have a bit of a battle here between Jeff Lees and Riccardo Patrese. So Jeff Lees in that Williams fighting his way up. At least now, if he gets a decent exit with some slipstream, he could perhaps try a bit of a move here, but I don't think he's close enough this time around. No, it doesn't seem like it. Meanwhile, still just watching that delta between Piquet and Senna as Piquet does inch closer here or there. He's now within a second. So does that mean the Benetton has caught the slipstream? It could be so. Piquet does seem to be getting closer now. Senna will try his best to fend off Piquet, and now here we have some issues going on. Fittipaldi pulling off to the side with seemingly a transmission issue. Both Senna and Piquet coming through, as I think Senna made a bit of a mistake there, a bit distracted by Fittipaldi, and at the same time we have Al Unser Jr. with some sort of issue as there's smoke piling out of the back of that Tyrrell car. And so that will probably mean the end of the race for Al Unser Jr., but one Ferrari out of the race this time, so that will break their 1-2 streak here. And Fittipaldi will drop down the order, which means now Ayrton Senna is in a temporary second place. which I'm sure he would like to make permanent, but PK is very keen on getting it as well. Means now Alboreto for Minardi has moved up into 6th. Mika Hakkinen in the points now for Ligier in 7th, and Dalmas in 8th for McLaren. And now here is this possibly a chance for PK as he's getting ever closer to that Lotus of Senna. Will we see a move? Not quite. As we head into the Ostkurva, and now we head into Bremschikane, and it is now PK going for the move on Senna, goes to the inside and does pull ahead right before the corner, and let's see now if Senna can retaliate as they head into the stadium section. Senna with a good run onto the back of PK, pulls to the inside again. Let's see. These two are battling it out for that, well, what will be 2nd place now, and Senna gets ahead again, going into the stadium section. Very nicely done by one Brazilian on the other. And Senna desperate to hold on to that 2nd position, but I'm sure PK will once again try another move up the next straight after the start finish as they head through Noordkurve. Once again, PK pulling to the inside as they head into Bremschikane. And surely PK will get that move done. Yes, he does. Will Senna come back at him? No, he does not. These two currently a bit intertwined in this battle. And, well, let's hope they don't keep doing this the whole race, because that could mean that Lammers and John Nielsen get a bit closer again, as side by side once again they go into the Ostkurve. But Senna does get out ahead and creates a little bit of a gap for him, so a little bit of respite for him for maybe a lap or two. But we'll see about that, as PK is looking fast, but if you are closely matched on pace, it will always be hard to break away if the other car can stay in the slipstream. And yeah, Senna trying to get away from PK, but it's looks like that is not gonna happen. Meanwhile, let's check in with our leader if we can. Yep, Mauricio Gugelmin for Ferrari, so the last remaining Ferrari. And he'll be looking to still try and pick up those 10 points. If he can. As things stands, it will be a 4th and 5th for Zach Speed, which would mean 4 and 3 points, so 7 points in total. So for Ferrari, that would mean that they still extend the championship lead, and, well, most importantly, Maurizio Gugelmin will extend his Drivers' Championship lead as well. Not quite sure why that yellow flag remains there. Yeah, not quite sure. I guess we're stuck with a permanent yellow flag now. See if we can still see something in that sector. Yeah, there is still a car, and I think kind of looks like the marshals are still working on a car there. But now there is more trouble. Oh, and that's the 2nd Eurobrun now. The 2nd Eurobrun of Satoru Nakajima, unfortunately, will also be pulling off to the side as he has Michael Andretti coming up to him there. And, well, once again, Theo Fabi in the pits, but that is just a scheduled pit stop, I think. Yes, it is. Fabi in for his second pit stop after he's had a pit stop for damage, and now PK once again comes through turn 1 onto the back of Senna, pulls to the inside once again. Surely that means Senna is gonna come back at him on the second straight. Here they come now. Heading into the chicane. Oh, even Senna is looking already up the inside again. They go side by side. Who comes out ahead? It will be Ayrton Senna, but it does mean PK will get into the slipstream as that yellow flag now dissipates. PK once again side by side with Senna, and you might think this will not end good for them. PK aggressively pulls in front of Senna there. Maybe trying to make some sort of statement. But now let's see if Senna can come back at him. Head into Bremschikane as well. Okay, still staying ahead. Now heading into turn 11 and the stadium section. Maybe that's where PK could make a bit of a difference, but then again, Senna all over him. And again, pulls ahead of them, and this could come back. Could come to the last lap of the race with the way they're fighting and so closely matched. Meanwhile, we also have a bit of a battle going on between the two Zach Speeds, so both teammates would be happy to get that 4th place. And Nielsen here on the back of Lammers in the slipstream. So let's see here if Nielsen does try and make a move on his teammate. Is in the slipstream. Let's see. Does he get a run? Yes, they will head side by side. Will they? No. Oh, they're very close now. Let's hope there is no mistakes here from those guys racing each other. I'm sure Edison would have given them some instructions to not race too hard with each other. Nielsen still ahead. And Lammers looking for a way through. Now, actually, let's see here, but I think PK has done it. I think PK has broken that deadlock between him and Senna. And he's now actually breaking away from Senna, so very well done by PK in the Benetton, and that will be some much needed points for Benetton to break themselves away from that mid-pack if they can. Oh, and now we see another failure there. Mika Hakkinen in the Ligier is pulling off to the side. It will mean that Riccardo Patrese, his teammate, inherits that position in 7th, and it means now that Yannick Dalmas is inside the points for McLaren. Yeah, Mika Hakkinen, a late failure there. We've completed more than 3/4 of the race. The 3/4. That's a better way of saying it than 3/4. 3/4 of the race completed. And unfortunately, does mean, oh, and in the same breath there, JJ Leto also pulling off to the side. So Hockenheim living up to his name, and both engine and transmission having a really hard time here on a lot of the cars, and Gugelmin putting in a fastest lap, 45.2. He's now 40 seconds ahead of the nearest competitor with an absolute domination of the field and less than 10 laps to go. Nelson Piquet, yes, is now slowly pulling away from Ayrton Senna, creating that gap, and it would be a really nice result here for Benetton today if he manages to get that car to the end. Meanwhile, John Nielsen created a bit of a gap now to Jan Lammers behind him. Michele Alboreto in 6th. Just been quietly moving up in this race, taking advantage of the DNFs. And 6th place would mean a solid 3 points for Minardi, which would help them. Rezi now in 7th. Mas still in 8th, and Jeff Lees trying his hardest to get close to Dalmas, trying to take that last point off of Dalmas. And let's compare laps once again if we can. So Dalmas 47.1 and Jeff Lees a 47.3. Then looking at Martin Brundle 47.5. So yeah, Jeff Lees a little bit better pace than his teammate here today. And well, could have been some challenges for him like Mika Hakkinen, who showed great pace up until his DNF. But yeah, PK now 2 seconds ahead of Ayrton Senna, so safe to say PK has more pace than Senna. And oh, there it is. There it is. Another retirement for Ayrton Senna. And that will be his 6th retirement out of 9 races for Ayrton Senna, and Lotus really have to start wondering if where this reliability is going to take them. Fair enough, they're 4th in the standings at the moment, but this amount of DNFs, that's never going to last, is it? And that moves up John Nielsen into a podium position. Jan Lammers into 4th. Michele Alboreto will be moving into 5th. Riccardo Patrese into 6th. Mas into 7th, and it does mean now that Jeff Lees with Williams will be inside the points, which would move them 1 point closer to BMW in the standings. Much needed points for Williams, as they're still trailing at the back of the constructor standings. But most notably, both of their cars still in the race. So, you know, there's always possibility to score more points if the opportunity arises. So far, quite a lot of DNFs with only 13 cars remaining now, I believe. Well, 12 cars remaining, actually. So we've lost nearly half the grid. And, well, it was always known that Hockenheim was going to be a tough one on the cars, but obviously we always like to see more finishers if possible. This is Gugelmin now, coming up to the back of another car. That's one of the Williamses. I think that's Martin Brundle then. You see there, yeah. So Gugelmin coming up to the back of Brundle. Now Nelson Piquet just has to manage his pace and complete this race. There's no threat from anyone around him, so he should be able to not take his foot off the gas, but he can definitely manage his pace a bit more now and just try and get it to the end. Nowhere near Gugelmin, so no need to push for him. Get that car to the end and score some good points. Oh, and late on now, Riccardo Patrese, he has an issue. Yeah, that's a full suspension failure there for Patrese, and that means Bobby Rahal will move into the points. But yeah, Hockenheim taking a toll here on our competitors and their cars. That is now Patrese out of the race. Means officially now half of the grid has DNF'd. And wow, what a race so far. Gugelmin now still in the lead, carrying fourth. 6 more laps to go. Martin Brundle now is close to, who's that ahead of him? Oh yeah, that would be Maurizio Gugelmin ahead of him. In the distance you can see Bobby Rahal and his teammate. Rahal getting closer seemingly to Jeff Lee, so Rahal could be challenging for that 7th position. And obviously anything can happen here. If someone DNFs in the top 8, it could still mean a double points finish, for instance, for the Williams. So that could also mean a great deal to them if that happens. John Nielsen now in 3rd again, just also managing the pace. It does seem like Zach speed, but he started off as one of the fastest packages. Now just managing their resources, I think, and just looking at getting some solid points, and obviously with a possible double finish here, that could mean a lot for Zach Speed. Bag those points. Yannick Dalmas now in 6th for McLaren, which is also pretty good for him. That would mean 2 more points, which would bring his total points tally to 7. Nielsen there getting past Theo Fabi. Nelson Piquet actually showing good pace here in that 2nd stint. He's matching and even going faster in some laps than Maurizio Gugelmin, I think. But take a look at the last lap times. Not too far off for Piquet, so that Benetton and Piquet doing a good job here. Less than a 10th between them. But yeah, if Piquet would have qualified a bit better, that might have been a close race. Meanwhile, Gugelmin heading up to the back now of what would be Bobby Rahal, I assume. Yes, it is. And with 4 laps to go, he has to manage to get through that traffic unscathed. Barreto now inside the top 5. Be a great finish for Alboreto for his first points finish. Top 5 would be amazing. Now we have Bobby Rahal getting overtaken by Mauricio Gugelmin. And the question now being, will Rahal... Ooh, he's looking at maybe making a move again on Gugelmin. Obviously, he doesn't have to move out of the way. But, well, if he does this smartly, Gugelmin could lead him right onto the back of Jeff Lees there. Oh, and actually, yeah, there it is, there it is. So Bobby Rahal now got a good exit and is right alongside Jeff Lee, so they'll head into, I think this is Bremschikane 2. Bobby Rahal now move up the inside. Will Jeff Lee hold on? Yes, he does for now. And actually, Jeff Lee's slowing up Bobby Rahal a little bit there, which might allow Martin Brundle to come closer. And it does. So Brundle may be now able to capitalize. And Jeff Lee's maybe trying to deliberately help his teammate there. Try and get him inside the points, or at least have him help get Bobby Rahal off of the back of him. Let's see if Brundle can manage to stick onto the back of Rahal now in the BMW. Not sure there, but that Williams peeking ever so close, ever closer, I think, for Brundle here. So Brundle, yeah, could make it a double points finish for Williams. With a bit over 2 laps to go, Gugelmin still solidly in the lead, with PK actually making good inroads on him. Obviously, all a bit too late for PK to challenge, as he's still 37.5 seconds behind, so Gugelmin could obviously be in some sort of managing mode now. Yeah, Brundle has a good opportunity here. Being said, it's an equally good opportunity for Rahal to get Jeff Lees in front, so see what transpires here. Brundle trying his hardest, wrestling that car through the stadium section. So also pair last laps as 47s all around. Yeah, very equal actually. Jeff Lees going slowest of the 3 here. Now actually we see Bobby Rahal in the slipstream, I believe, of Jeff Lees. And he's getting closer now. Ideally, I think Lees wants to somewhat defend here from Rahal and let Martin Brundle get closer. Here he comes now. Does Bobby Rahal have a good enough run here to challenge Jeff Lees? Getting ever closer. Pulls to the inside now. Will he try a move? Yes, he does. And side by side they go now. And Bobby Rahal with a bad exit. Bobby Rahal with a bad exit. This might allow Martin Brundle to catch up here. Not quite a good enough run to challenge into the stadium section, but as I say that, it might be. Oh no, not quite. So a big battle here for the last points on offer. And Martin Brundle not too far off of them. Both of the Williams look good here. Now let's see. Mauricio Gugelmin has started his last lap. But I am keen to see here what happens between the BMWs and the Williams. Oh, big lock up there from Rahal, which will definitely compromise his exit. And here comes Brundle now. So Brundle trying to box in Bobby Rahal in the BMW, but it's actually Rahal trying to pull off a last lap move here, heading into one of the chicanes. He does pull ahead of Lees. So great job by Rahal, and now actually he's created a little bit of separation. And here comes Michael Andretti now on Martin Brundle. So Andretti here to create some issues as well, and he might launch himself up in front there. Yes, he does. So in one fell swoop, Michael Andretti up into 9th, and he could actually challenge Jeff Lees here towards the end. I just want to see what the last lap time was for Michael Andretti. 46.5, yeah, so Andretti looking really fast. Being held back by Martin Brundle now. And let's see where our leader is, Mauricio Gugelmin. So Gugelmin came across the line there. We just about missed it, but great performance here from Gugelmin, extending his lead in the championship. Lamas already came across the line. We have, in the end, John Nielsen that will come home in 3rd. So he's still going at full race speed. Having to finish, some of the lap cars finish right behind the leader there. But Nelson Piquet, of course, with a perfect race execution there, finishes in 2nd. So Nielsen finishing on that last podium step. His teammate Jan Lammers not too far behind. Oh, and actually at the end there, a leak for Jan Lammers, but he does get it across the line, so very lucky there for Zach Speed that Lammers manages to nurse that car to the end. And then Michele Alboreto is gonna come across the line in 5th for Minardi, so very good result for Alboreto. He will get his first points on the board. Then we have Yannick Dalmas, who has already finished. Bobby Rahal in 7th, and Jeff Lee scoring a point for Williams there, which is nice. Michael Andretti had a good opportunity towards the end there, but just about missed out. To Martin Brundle and Theo Fabi in 11th, the last of the finishing positions. Let's see the full race results here. So Mauricio Gugelmin with an absolutely dominant performance puts him in 1st place. Then Nelson Piquet in the Benetton in 2nd. Then John Nielsen and Jan Lammers for Zach Speed in 3rd and 4th. Shelley Alboreto in 5th for Minardi, Yannick Delmas in 6th for McLaren, Bobby Rahal in 7th for BMW, Jeff Lees rounding out the last points paying positions with P8, and then Martin Brundle, his teammate, just outside of those points. The top 10 will be rounded up by Michael Andretti in the Tyrrell. Theo Fabi, last of the runners, will be finishing in 11th. Then Patrese in 12th with a suspension failure. Ayrton Senna with a transmission failure in 13th. And similarly, JJ Leto and Mika Hakkinen both with a transmission issue in 14th and 15th. Nakajima in 16th with an engine failure. Then Al Unser Jr. with also an engine failure. Fittipaldi dropping out of the race fairly early in the first half of the race with a transmission failure. Eddie Lawson as well after he was running inside the points. He was looking very promising. Also transmission failure. Ross Cheever with his crash early on that we didn't manage to catch on camera in 20th. Alain Prost with that early issue dropping out to 21st. And Roberto Moreno in the Lotus also dropping out early with an engine issue. That being said, we're back into the swing of things. I can't promise anything when it comes to the schedule, but for now we should see round 9 and 10 being broadcasted fairly close to each other. And yeah, it's been an enjoyable race. Ferrari winning, and a lot of points that were taken by some of the other teams on the grid. And yeah, we'll see how the racing goes next time around. But for now, I'll see you next time. Bye bye.